or worse, because they're not going to give up that money, even if it means we're going to destroy our planet in 50 years or something like that. Their ego is so giant. It's incredible. But this is what my spirit guides say. They say, well, it's a process of life to die. So what you have are a lot of really heavy-ended, greedy individuals who've been on the planet 70, 80 years. Well, it's a matter of time before they pass over to the non-physical, and then we have a newer generation stepping forward. So hopefully we can just loosen that grip on that oil attachment and addiction. I would love to see more of the green energy come forward.
Oh, and I'm glad you mentioned that, because I do have another question for Sibyl. You had mentioned Neptune and the collective unconscious, us being, one. What kind of activity do you see with Neptune moving forward, particularly with, like you talked about, the paradigm shift? Because a lot of, what I do on my show is try to get the, individual people to understand that you are more powerful than you could ever imagine, but also we're a part of a collective group. My show is called One for All is Love. So if you could touch on a little bit about the Neptune, the collective unconscious, I'm certainly curious about that.
Okay, well, maybe, okay. All right, let me just kind of get centered here and see what went through. Okay. I think it goes back to the old, not the old, what we had been talking about before is the paradigm shift is a shift to love, okay? Mm-hmm. And so it is so important for people to understand where fear jumps in. Mm-hmm. And because we are creating the collective each moment we go, everything we put out into the field, so this is a piece that just came up, and my own spiritual teacher just shared this with me, and it just kind of made me understand the shadow side of Capricorn and Saturn is judgment, and it's self-judgment. And when we think of ourselves as less than, when we think of ourselves as not enough, all those ways we judge ourselves, that is when we are plugging into the patriarchal paradigm that tells us that we're not good enough and that there's something innately wrong with us. Okay? And so that is where we plug into the collective, and we actually build that collective of fear. Okay, and of thinking we're not enough. Okay, so whenever we catch ourselves judging ourselves, to pull back, because we're actually creating that collective field in each moment. It's not like we're separate from it. It's not like them and us. We are there. So what is our part in it? And one of our parts in it is any places where we judge ourselves as less than and somebody is better than, it's about self-love, and it's loving those. This is a shift to, it's a paradigm shift to love and so when we're talking about the collective, that's kind of what I'm trying to say, is that we are creating at each moment we go, and to be aware of where we plug into the stories, where we plug into those stories that just aren't true. Okay,
this is
those
interesting.
About ourselves. Right.
We have a lot on our plates here because we have things like social media and television telling us that we're supposed to look and feel a certain way and our lives are supposed to be a certain thing. And when it's not that way, we start judging ourselves. We got a lot of obstacles in the way of moving past that social construct of this is what it should look like and move it more into this is what makes me feel good. This is what enlightens my soul, as opposed to looking on Instagram and seeing a woman that is clearly has been photoshopped or filtered and then trying to stand up to that. We really do need to work on our self-judgment. I agree. And one of my shows is called The Alchemy Sisters, where we try to teach people to alchemize a heavier frequency energy like fear, hate, greed into a lighter frequency like excitement, joy, curiosity, wonderment, acceptance. We are the alchemists. And yes, it would be nice to turn lead into gold. That would really be a wonderful thing to do. But since not everyone has that skill, we can, and we all do have the skill and the opportunity to alchemize a heavy feeling fear, one of them, a big one, anxiety, into understanding and curiosity. And that is what the ripple effect that I think Sibyl's talking about, of changing the dynamics of things.
Absolutely. It is absolutely the ripple effect. And to remember, we are all part of this field and creating it in every moment. So it's looking at, and we want to be aware of when because I think a lot of people voted out of fear. They voted for Joe Biden out of fear. And we cannot move forward if we're still putting fear into the field. We need to look at our own fear, okay, and where we're triggered, and step back from that and say, what is the truth? I'm good. I'm okay. Yes, the world is things are very scary out there, and yet I am putting love into the world because I am changing the world. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Do you feel like, and I was going to ask you, that you segued right into it. I don't even need to segue into it. Do you think that's what happened with Biden taking a lot of those states yesterday in Super Tuesday? Do you think it was a fear-based voting? Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. People want what Bernie's offering. People want health insurance. People want affordable housing. People want a living wage.
Mm-hmm.
People want people taken care of. But fear comes in. It is fear. It's a fear vote.
Yeah.
And you know why they're voting out of fear, because the first question that comes up is, how is Bernie going to pay for it? So what comes to mind is, my taxes are going to go up. So, yes, they want everything that Bernie is offering, but nobody wants to pay for it.
Right. And the thing is, all we have to do is cut the military budget.
That's what I say every
You're
time.
Right. You're right.
And you know what? And it might ask people to make different choices, too. Be more, Aquarius is about thinking for yourself and taking responsibility for those thoughts, okay? And so that is the other, people don't like change. They want their lives to be, like, I had someone write to me and say, what was it? It was about, the tax on the millionaires, the billionaires. I don't want to lose everything I've worked hard for. And I said, you're not a billionaire. I mean, what? What do you mean?
Yeah, why are we having this conversation?
There was a bunch of false information going around, too, like saying that if you made over $29,000 a year, Bernie was going to tax you 52%. And I saw a lot of people doing their diligent work by saying, this is the real information. You have to make over this amount, which was way more than $30,000 a year. I'm pretty sure it was $1 million or 10 or something. Then you're going to get taxed 52%. And then you get these people up riled over it. And it's like, you make $60,000 a year. This isn't going to touch you.
And the other thing is, as I just wanted to say again, this information, this illusion, this delusion, it's like it's being blanketed. People need to research. You read something, don't react. Find study it. Understand. And I would say share that with everyone that it's bad now, it's going to get worse.
Yeah, the only problem is, like with most people, they're armchair political pundits, so to speak, which means they just regurgitate what they hear or what they've glossed over in an article. No one wants to do the heavy lifting. That's what they think the other political pundits, the ones that are paid, are supposed to do. But actually all they're doing is trying to program you into what to think or what to follow or how you should think or what you should be buying into.
You can see that with Bloomberg. Did you see he won a couple delegates? I can't remember how many, but I was like, that's the power of money. He threw a bunch of money at it, got put in the debates, didn't have much to say except, let Elizabeth chew his arm off a couple times, and then there he is winning some delegates. I'm like, wow, people really are programmable. I forget that those people are still out there.
So I would just say share with people how important it is to do your own research. Mm-hmm. Just vital. It's vital to be informed, and that's our responsibility as members of a democracy, is to be well informed, not misinformed.
I agree, and I think that the powers that be, way back, did their job. I don't know if I agree with the job they did, but their job was to control the populace. So then you've got either the church telling you what to do, or the state telling you what to do, or both telling you what to do, and that's what you're supposed to follow, and that's what you're supposed to, sit with. And no, do your research. Don't trust a priest that is living a certain life and being, told what to say. Don't believe him. You can if you want to, but go ahead and do the research. It's a responsibility. One of you said that. It's a big responsibility to do a little digging, and I think we've been trained to not dig. I think we've been just simply trained, maybe not us on the line here, but a majority of people have been trained to just take what the preacher says and take what your governor says or your president says, and that's it. They're looking out for you. That's the big mistake right there, is that we think that they're looking out for us when really it's just a control game.
Right. So I think that is another important dynamic of this paradigm shift. Aquarius, as we move into the age of Aquarius, it is about thinking for yourself and then taking responsibility, for that. So as we move into this paradigm shift, that is just simply another really big piece of recognizing that yes, the old way is it is that, and that is that Neptune piece as well. So the Aquarius piece is doing the research, thinking for yourself, and to just remember, we gave our power away in this democracy by not doing that. Now it's time to reclaim it.
Excellent advice. And ladies, I knew this hour was going to go so fast. We have a couple minutes. I want to give you each about 90 seconds to end us off here. Sonya, you want to start us off?
Sure. Well, I just want to say thank you, Sibyl. That was certainly informative and enlightening. I appreciated your comments and your knowledge, your wisdom, more than just your comments. And it will certainly aid me as I move forward with my show. But, of course, Jennie, you and I have talked, and I've spoken on, I would love to take down the whole system, because I just think the way it is, it just needs a complete overhaul. And I didn't really get to touch on that with you, Sibyl, but I just appreciate your time, and I'm looking forward to our next episode.
Me too. That's so funny when Sibyl was talking about, it was a quote. I think she said it was JFK, where, sometimes if you can't get what you need in a heartful way, sometimes there's violence that needs to be brought to the table. Now, I'm a heartful individual and a peaceful warrior, so I'm hoping it doesn't come to that. But I've seen some groups do that. And Sibyl, you might know who I'm talking about, and Sonya, you too. There was a group in the 1960s called the Weathermen, and they blew up government buildings in response to the Vietnam War and certain situations that happened in the Vietnam War. And I was like, holy cow, they stayed underground for like 15 years continuing to do that work. And I was thinking, that's part of that revolution, where there was a lot of heart energy going on in the 60s. One of our other guests, Jan Mundo, she went to the farm and helped start at the farm. But then there's other groups that were, not only, they're not trying to be as sustainable, they're trying to take down the government. I'm in the middle. I mean, I'm more heartful, and I want to be in that heart space, but sometimes I get an itch to kind of go inside and implode the space. So I really enjoyed that documentary. It's called The Weathermen Underground, if you get a chance to watch it. Sibyl, we've got about a minute left. Do you want to close us out here?
Yeah, so thank you so much for having me. I guess I'll just say again. JFK said, when you make a peaceful revolution impossible, you make violent revolution inevitable. And I pray that we can stay in the system and keep it peaceful. But just like you said, Sonya, the whole thing's coming down. And we are coming down. So
we got 3 people that are super excited about it coming down, and this is why I've watched these apocalyptic movies since the 80s. I'm like, I'm getting prepared for some sort of revolution. I don't know exactly what it's going to look like, but you're right. I think something needs to come down and replace it of a better build, of a more economical build.
And in the process, we are building the new in the shell of the old. Just know both things are happening concurrently. One's falling and one's growing.
That's good imagery. That's perfect imagery.
Yes.
Everyone, it was so wonderful. Check us out again. We're going to be here again next week. And, of course, if Sibyl wants to join us. And until then, everyone have a lovely night. This is Political Star Talk.
All right.
Goodbye.
Bye.